Welcome to Am I the A-hole?, where OP is demanding her father to remarry her mom, who cheated on him 10 years ago and left him for his colleague. Around 10 years ago, when I was 10 years old, my parents got separated because my father, James, 56M, caught my mom, Susan, 53F, cheating on him with his colleague, Henry, now deceased. After their separation, my mom married Henry, but my father never remarried. Initially, I used to live with my mom and visit my father for a week every month. However, when I turned 14, I was placed in my father's custody for reasons I will explain later in the post. Now, I have moved out and live independently, but I visit both my father and mom. My father has always been a calm and composed person, never engaging in serious conflicts with my mother. Even when he discovered her infidelity, he chose to walk away quietly rather than confront her. In contrast, my mother's second husband, my stepdad, was toxic and prone to explosive outbursts. Their home was filled with constant arguments, mainly due to my stepdad's infidelity. The toxic environment led to me being placed in my father's custody for a more stable and peaceful upbringing. After just 3 years of marriage, my mom was fed up with the relationship and was considering separating from my stepdad, but he passed away in the meantime. His death was a relief for my mom, and since then, she has been living alone. After the death of my stepdad, I visit my mom often and sometimes live with her for weeks. My mom regrets cheating on my father. I love both my father and mother. I have always wanted to see them together, but it has been 10 years since they separated. Last month, I asked my mom if my father proposed to her again. Would she marry him? My mom said that it was not possible for him to propose to her again and for them to come together. I asked my mom if I could convince my father to remarry her. Would she be ready? My mom asked me why I was asking all this and what I wanted. I told her that I wanted her and my dad to be together again, and if she was willing, I would talk to my father. My mom was taken aback. I told her that I was serious, and I would talk to my father if she was willing to remarry him. My mom took the time to think, and after 1 week, she said that she was ready to remarry my father, but she would not approach him first. I was very happy after hearing this from my mom, and I reassured her that she would not have to approach my father. I would make my father propose to her. The following week, I approached my father and posed the same question to him, but his response was different. He stated that he could not remarry my mom because he was already in a relationship with another woman. I was taken aback upon hearing this from my father. I inquired about his girlfriend's whereabouts, as I had never seen her. My father informed me that he had recently entered into a relationship with her. I was truly shocked because my plans seemed to be falling apart, and there appeared to be no chance of my parents remarrying. After contemplating the situation, I asked my father to introduce me to his girlfriend. I asked him because I doubted he was lying and was saying this just because he didn't want to talk about remarrying mom. My father told me that his girlfriend was out of town for a week, but he promised to introduce me to her when she returned. The assurance in my father's words made me believe that he might indeed be in a relationship. The following week, my father called me and asked me to meet his girlfriend. My father introduced a lady named Carol. When I saw the lady, I doubted she was my father's girlfriend. However, I didn't say anything about it. We had dinner that she had cooked at my father's home, and after dinner, I returned home. When I reached home, I received a call from my mom, asking me when I was going to talk to my father about their remarriage. I told her that I would talk to him tomorrow, as I already had doubts that my father was lying about his girlfriend. So after my mom's call, I returned to my father's home. My father was surprised to see me there. He asked me what had happened and why I had returned. Instead of answering his question, I asked, "Where is your girlfriend, Dad?" My father seemed confused and said he had just dropped her off at her apartment. I questioned why she didn't stay with him. As my father tried to explain, I interrupted and told him I knew she was not his girlfriend, but just a friend or colleague. My father attempted to come up with another story, but I informed him that I knew the truth, and he didn't need to struggle to carve another story. Finally, my father admitted that Carol was not his girlfriend, but rather a female friend who was helping him with everything. I told my father that I loved him and my mom, and I wanted to see them together. I asked him to consider remarrying my mom. My dad seemed confused and hesitant. I asked him what the problem was with remarrying, and I informed him that my mom was already on board with the idea. He said that it was very difficult for him to consider remarrying a woman who had cheated on him and broken his trust. I told my father that he was right, but my mom had changed now, and she regretted her past actions. She also wanted to marry him again. I explained that if they got married, it could change both of their lives for the better. Initially, my father was not open to discussing the idea of remarrying my mom, but after I persisted, he said that he needed some time to make a final decision. I agreed and told him that we could revisit the topic in 2 weeks. The next morning, I spoke to my mom and urged her to take action. if she truly wanted to remarry my father. I told her that my father might agree to marry her, but she needed to assure him that she had changed and was committed to the idea. My mom asked me what she should do, and I advised her that if my father didn't propose, she should take the initiative, regardless of his reaction. After all, she was responsible for their separation, and she should take the first step. Initially, my mom was not ready to propose to my father, but finally, she agreed that she would propose to him if he agreed to marry her. I was very hopeful that my father would agree to remarry my mom. So, after 2 weeks, I talked to him about it, but he informed me that he cannot. It was very disappointing for me. I told my father that if he didn't want to approach, Mom was ready to take the first step. I begged him for their reunion, but he didn't budge an inch. He said that he cannot digest marrying a lady who cheated on him 10 years ago. I told my father that it was useless to be stuck in the past, and he must move on, but all was in vain. I finally confronted my father. I told him that if he didn't agree to remarry, I would cut ties with him. My father wanted to explain something, but I left without listening to him, and asked him if he wanted to have a relationship with me, he would have to remarry Mom, and then I left. It has been 4 days since then, and I have not received any calls from my father. I am confused, and don't know what my father has decided to do. Now, I doubt he might cut ties with me as well. Here, OP is being an AH for forcing and emotionally blackmailing her father to remarry her mom when her father still hates her. No matter her mom has changed now, OP's father still hates her for cheating on her. In fact, OP's mom has not changed. She had no other option. The main point to note is that OP's mom is still not ready to accept that she was in the wrong for cheating on her husband. That is why she was initially demanding that she would not take the first step. If she had really realized her mistake, she should have gone to OP's dad, apologized to him, and requested him to marry her. But this is not the case here. She is still behaving as a Karen and entitled. So OP is trying all this in futile. So I would give OP 2.5 out of 5 on the AH scale and would rate OP's mom 3.5 on the AH scale. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye bye, see you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.